In today's program, the Thai health minister says the October 1st reopening of the country has not been confirmed. Meanwhile, the Thai FDA has approved the use of the Moderna vaccine for teenagers between the ages of 12 and 17, and more strict regulations and hoops to jump through for businesses in dark red zones. Details on these stories and many more coming right up. Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to Thailand News Today. In our first story, October the 1st has continuously been said to be the potential reopening date for several of Thailand's top tourist destinations, such as Bangkok, but Public Health Minister Anutin Charnvirakul says nothing has been confirmed yet, and the plan still needs the go-ahead from the Department of Disease Control. According to the Bangkok Post, Anutin was responding to comments from top medics, many concerned that the reopening was too early. The Post quote Anutin saying, "No one said the country would reopen on October the 1st. Well, actually, it was his boss, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, who said back in June that Thailand would reopen to vaccinated tourists in 120 days. However, the country is currently still in the middle of a COVID crisis, and some health experts say the government is being hasty. Anutin says their views will be taken into account in making the final decision. Now, in order to reopen to foreign tourists, Bangkok needs 70% of residents fully vaccinated against COVID-19. So far, only around 37% of Bangkok residents have received both doses of the vaccine, and the governor says there's no way the capital can reach the 70% target by October the 1st. However, the tourism minister is hopeful that Bangkok can hit the target and reopen by October the 15th. All 50 of the capital's districts will be included in the reopening plan, including Dindang and Hue Kwang, despite them having COVID-19 clusters. As the tourism minister says, the situation will be under control by then. Even with plans still up in the air and nothing confirmed, the Thai hotel operators are pinning their hopes on Bangkok's proposed reopening next month. The president of the Thai Hotels Association says that while hotels don't expect a huge uptick in bookings immediately, they are hopeful that average occupancy might reach at least 15 to 20% in the last 3 months of the year. The president says the pandemic has taken a heavy toll on both business stability and the mentality of our workers. He says the reopening is a, quote, beacon of hope for hotel workers because over the past 18 months, many have been out of work for an indefinite period of time. The association's president also admits that the situation is unpredictable, but hoteliers are anxious for a quarantine-free reopening to go ahead for vaccinated tourists, as this is the only way to boost the hotel business in Bangkok. According to a Bangkok Post report, there are currently no SHA Plus accredited hotels in the capital, but the president says the application process has begun and most hotels can go ahead and enroll as they previously held SHA accreditation, and most employees are now fully vaccinated. Bookings at alternative quarantine hotels have plummeted, and the AQ Club Thailand president says the average occupancy is currently around 25 to 30%. It's believed that rumors of the quarantine period being reduced from next month have led to the drop in bookings, coupled with signs that infections may have peaked. And the club's president says the resumption of domestic flights from dark red provinces has done little to increase business. According to a Bangkok Post report, many international arrivals will have chosen the quarantine-free Phuket sandbox instead, while others may have deferred travel to see if quarantine is reduced from next month. The club's president says if the decline in bookings continues for the rest of the year, many hotels will have to close temporarily from January. AQ Club Thailand has 144 properties serving as alternative quarantine facilities in Bangkok and the surrounding area. Of those, 30% are hospitals, accommodating COVID-19 patients who have mild symptoms. He said the only way for Bangkok hotels to make money at the moment is by operating as alternative quarantine facilities or as hospitals. The new COVID-free settings measure is planned to be rolled out on October the 1st, where certain businesses and venues considered to be at high risk for COVID-19 transmission will need to follow strict regulations. Shopping centers and restaurants in dark red zones, such as Bangkok, are said to fall under this category. Thailand's Department of Health announced that vaccinations are required for all employees in high-risk businesses and venues like shopping centers. Along with being fully vaccinated, employees at businesses classified as a COVID-free setting will need to take an antigen test every 7 days. Those who have only received one dose of the vaccine will be allowed to work if they test negative for COVID-19 and undergo a risk assessment. Shopping centers and other businesses operating under the new measures must also have a contingency plan in place in case a COVID-19 infection is detected. The Thai Food and Drug Administration has approved the use of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine for teenagers between the ages of 12 and 17 years old. ZP Therapeutics, a distributor of the Moderna vaccine, made the announcement yesterday, expressing gratitude to the FDA for approving the vaccine in the younger population. They said the approval gives Thailand a better chance to administer more vaccines to a wider range of people and will be helpful in fighting off COVID-19 and the pandemic that has swept Thailand in recent months with more contagious and easily transmissible variants. ZP Therapeutics says that the vaccination method for those between the ages of 12 and 17 is exactly the same for adults. The regimen involves receiving one dose, following 28 days later by a second injection to be fully inoculated. Moderna will be seeing an influx of usage in Thailand in the coming months after a recent study showed that 6 months after full vaccination, its effectiveness dropped by just 1%. The Red Cross recently got budget approval for nearly 1 billion baht to purchase 1 million Moderna vaccines, while Julapon Royal Academy, which had been using the Sinopharm vaccine, announced its intentions to buy 8 million Moderna vaccines to use as booster shots. Thai AirAsia has launched a promotional deal targeting government officials, members of the Federation of Thai Industries and the Thai Chamber of Commerce, as well as employees of state enterprises. The perks will also apply to their travel companions. The thinking behind the deal is that government officials were some of the first to be vaccinated and are not struggling financially in the way the private sector workers might be. Yes, it must be nice to be a bureaucrat. They therefore represent an ideal target for airlines operating domestic routes as opposed to the rest of the country, who may be trying to cope with a loss of income or salary reductions. A Hungarian woman was arrested in Koh Samui by Surat Thani immigration police for a visa overstay of more than 4,000 days. The woman admitted to having traveled to Thailand in November of 2009 on a tourist visa and then stayed with her husband without ever bothering to apply for any visa or extension. The woman's visa expired at the end of February in 2010, and she stayed illegally for more than 10 years in Thailand. The woman had been out and about around the island when police officers asked to check her documents on the road near Bang Rak Beach. Current laws for overstays in Thailand state that for an overstay of 10 years, the woman would be fined 20,000 baht and given a 10-year ban on entering Thailand. While punishment is generally less severe for people who turn themselves in versus those caught on an overstay, the overstay by the Hungarian woman is so long that maximum penalties would apply either way. There has been a frenzy for meatballs from local vendors in Buri Ram province after a Thai member of the popular K-pop band Blackpink said that if she traveled from Korea to her hometown of Buri Ram, the first thing that she would eat is the local grilled and deep-fried meatballs. Since the pop idol's interview, the province has been experiencing a rush of fans buying the traditional meat snack. Vendors at the Buri Ram railway station say sales went from a few hundred baht a day to more than 10,000 baht. Online orders for the meat snack have also skyrocketed. So I'm going to tell you now that coffee from my hometown of Chiang Mai is the absolute best. So you better stock up on beans now before I cause my own frenzy. And that's all for the news going into the weekend. And check out the videos that just popped up to continue watching content from the Thaiger channel. And until we see each other again on Monday, you're now up to date on the Thaiger.